in the making probably for longer than I even had an awareness of it. And I'm just glad that in the middle of everything, we have found time to come together as community to talk chat about awesome things like our bodies and what we can do and how we can make living in our body better. When I had this idea of doing virtual coffee talks, I was very intentional. I really wanted to not only attract people, but be attracted to people who were going to bring variation and something thought provoking to the table. And Miss Renée Tillotson is definitely one of those people. So it was a no brainer. Every month at the studio, we have a theme, and the theme in August is Beginner's Mind. And what I love most about this theme is that it has given me tools to be receptive and honestly excited about spontaneities, things that I was not expecting either in my life or how it presents itself in my body. So it goes without saying that Renée has been a teacher for me to embody and learn this practice of beginner's mind, and that's why she is here. And I'm going to give just a quick snippet about Renée because really what we want to know about her, I think we're going to learn of it as we start chatting. But Renée is a second degree Nia Black Belt. If you are aware of our belt system in Nia, that is about as high as you can get, and that is our Renée. And she says that through Nia, she realized that she was born to dance, and perhaps everybody else is too. Nia connects her to her joy. She aspires to extend that joy to all those that come into her circle and everything she does in life. And she also describes Nia as a movement meditation. And when I first started taking classes with Renée, that is exactly what I received from her. It was like going into an alternate environment of amazingness, for lack of better words. And she likes to play like a child during her classes. And I personally do find that that is invigorating for the body. And it also is good stimulation and excitement for the brain and to elevate the spirit. Renée has been sharing Nia for over 20 years, since 2002. And unlike many of us, she's actually had an opportunity to take all of her NIA trainings and intensive at NIA headquarters with the co-creators, Debbie Rosas and Carlos Ayas Rosas. She may flow into some more of the information I'm going to share now, but just to give you a little snippet, I think that from all the inspiration and the beauty that she has found through all these somatic movement practices, she was motivated and inspired to found what today is known as Still and Moving Center in 2011, and that is actually when I met Renée for the first time. You can find a plethora of classes. All sorts of type of classes are available for you to take, and she leads a very well-known and popular conversation circle every Saturday called Gems from the Wisdom Tradition, which tells you that Renée likes to chat. She likes to bring in some spark and to add some details to all things that may happen in life. In 2020, she founded the Academy of Mindful Movement, and it's an online accredited training program that helps experienced coaches and movement instructors to really refine and tune in their techniques so that they can help their students and movers move more mindfully and more in tune and in partnership with the body. I love that. She takes a lot of inspiration from all her learning in the Institute of the World Culture in Santa Barbara, California. And I love that she says that there's a galaxy of great teachers from around the world and history that inspire and motivate her. I don't know how Renée does it all, but she does. And this is why she's here because I'm curious to hear how she has a deep relationship with her body and her external world. And maybe we can pick up on a few tips here so that we can also play with that and try it on and practice it. So I'm going to pass it on to Renée.
Okay. When she talked about beginner's mind, what came to me as very, very foundational, like at the beginning, for what I've come to understand as healthy movement, mindful movement, actually just as the way of living in the body. is to really be able to tune into body sensations. And that sounds really elementary. And I guess I have found it to be a more profound experience than I ever expected to, as I began to realize through my sensations that I was living in a body. It kind of made me go, well, who is this that's living in the body? So it actually became a very much more spiritual practice to realize how I was just inhabiting a body. And I am ever so grateful to have this body to live in and to get all these amazing experiences being in the world. And I feel as if this is the like the schoolhouse for my soul's learning. And one of the things that I've come to understand about the body, which, as I say, I have, I mean, that doesn't mean uniquely me. Maybe you all have exactly the same experience. But the body has this built-in operating system. And, you know, when you get an appliance, you get this little booklet, right, that comes with it. I don't know about you, but I don't tend to read those things. I'd rather fiddle around and make all these mistakes. But anyway, but the body's operating manual is like built into us. And all that we have to do really is listen through our sensations to what that manual is telling us. And it's not a one-time-fits-all kind of set of directions. In my experience, raise your hand if this is yours, every single day my body needs something a little bit different. It needs a different kind of food, different amount of sleep. It needs, some days it needs to be more inward, some days it's got a lot of energy and wants to be more outward. Is this ringing bells for you? Okay. And if I were to just go through my day doing everything the same way all the time, I would not be listening to my body's manual. So definitely when I go to a Nia class, for example, I'm going to go in there with this, oh, okay, yes, I'm doing, let's say, the bloom routine. I'm teaching the bloom routine today. But the way that I teach that bloom routine is really going to differ every single time that I teach it, as I listen to what's going on and I notice, oh my gosh, this is giving me this little tweak in my knee when I go into a bow stance today. What do I need to do to alleviate that? And maybe it's turning my toe in or turning my toe slightly out, or, you know, I'm always sensing into my body and doing these little micro adjustments. Usually they're fairly micro, actually, because I can rest assured that the moves in Nia are very scientifically developed to be the body's way. Debbie Rosas, one of the two co-founders of Nia, was a medical illustrator. So she's so acquainted with the body that she just knows it from the inside out. She still does 1 to 2 weeks every single year of dissections of a human cadaver in a very respectful way with somebody named Gil Hadley, and they do ceremony and so on around that. But she really understands the human body, deep studies of it. So I can rest assured that in general, these moves that we do in Nia are designed to fit the human body really well. You know, the way the joints are expected to be able to operate and so on. And yet each of us is a unique individual, and we all have our own life histories, our body histories, don't we? And so on any particular day, these things are going to change. One of the things that I've discovered this is kind of the main point of what I wanted to talk about today, was that in addition to my listening to my body, I have to actually have a two-way conversation. And so this is going to sound a little crazy, right? Oh, this lady is just talking to her body. Well, it's true, though. I do. It is a little crazy. I really converse with my body, and I say, I am going to listen to you, and I am going to make any changes that you ask me to make. I'm really going to pay attention. And the body takes that as an assurance, and I think it kind of settles down my nervous system. What I have noticed that has been happening over the last several years since I've been aware of having this two-way conversation with the body is that times when I do some kind of movement, it doesn't have to be in class, it could be picking something up, it could be getting in and out of the car, it could be lifting one of my grandchildren, any movement in life, really, if I feel a little twinge that in previous times in my life would have turned into an injury, as soon as I feel the twinge, I stop what I'm doing. I don't jerk out of it. That's often a problem. I don't jerk out of the movement. I release out of that movement, and then I just assure the body, hey, I'm taking care of you. You don't need to worry. And I think maybe what is happening is that often when we get hurt, the body triggers into an emergency response and sends a lot of activation to that area to cause swelling. What does the swelling do? It immobilizes that area to protect that area from further damage. It's going, okay, I'm not going to let you do that to me again. The problem is that in itself can be a little bit damaging to us to have all that swelling. It's certainly painful, and it can turn what could have just been a little injury that could get released into something more major. And so I just am finding that to a greater and greater degree, my body doesn't have that kind of same response to a little injury. It goes, oh, okay. But it relaxes into it. It knows I'm taking care of it. I don't do that thing again. I don't continue to do it. And it doesn't turn into the big injury that it could have in the past. And I just think it has a lot to do with my body. And maybe you've heard it said, or maybe you've said yourself, the body hears what's going on. So, for example, one of the things that I've learned being near our Kumuhula, which is a traditionally trained hula teacher at Still and Moving Center. She's also a Lomi Lomi massage practitioner who trains others. She's really advanced. And she talks about how when you are working on somebody's body, you're always talking about all the wonderful things about this body. Oh, look at these long arms. Oh, these broad shoulders. And there's a very graceful and complimentary way that she will speak about the body. Whereas a lot of Western massage therapists that you may have gone to, you might have heard them say, "Oh, your shoulders are so tight, right? Oh, you've got such knots in your legs." And the body hears that and go, "Oh yeah, my shoulders are so tight. Oh yeah, I've got those knots in my legs. Oh, my back is, yeah, it's really crooked on this side. Yeah, that's right, it is." So it's reinforcing all of these problems. And so the same thing I think is true when I have this conversation with my body and I just tell it that I'm going to take care of it. I'm also saying, you are such an amazing instrument of mine. Thank you so much for what you do to get me through my day. And I think the body really appreciates that and it responds accordingly. So that's a little introduction of what we could have a conversation about. Val, what do you think?
I was remembering right now, and I said this, I don't know if I said this before everybody trickled into the Zoom room. And welcome, Danielle. I see you're here. Thank you for being here. I'm reminded of my first Nia experience precisely with you, Renee, back in 2011. And when I think of this word conversation, I don't even think of the two-way part. I'm putting it from like as the most basic. What is a conversation? And for me, I did not have the awareness of it could come in the form of a question. It could be a statement. It could be an affirmation. It could be me getting a cup of tea with my body for an hour and tuning in, settling in the same way we would with a friend. And we're so compassionate and kind to them. And oh, that's horrible that you're going through that. And you want to comfort them. Yet I did not seem to have the awareness or the bandwidth or the time to do it for myself. So when I stepped into that first Nia class, initially I was like, whoa, what is this? I thought, whoa, I'm acting like a chicken. What is this going to do? But then I realized through tuning out the stereotypes or the judgment, I was able to witness my voice, and more so than my voice, my body's voice. Oh, my shoulder is telling me this feels a little pinchy. And now I feel like, well, is that a question? Are you feeling pinchy? No, you're feeling good. You feel good. Here, just make it a little bit smaller. And I don't think, I know that it was that invitation and that revelation and that understanding that it doesn't need to be super complex. It could be at the most foundational level. Imagine you're taking a tea date with yourself. There's so much room for learning there. And this is where I think beginner's mind really comes in beautifully, because if we're just open and curious and not trying to know it all, we may actually come across through very valuable content and information, in this case, from our bodies, possibly our mind. I tend to pick up quite a bit on my emotional state because I'm a very animated human being, I believe, and a lot from my spirit. And I'm grateful that I was taken under your wing for that initial experience to realize this is not that crazy. This is actually kind of really important. And I need more of this in my life, and I've never looked back. But those are my 2 cents on my experience with having a conversation with my body. And I love how, after all these years, when you say a two-way conversation, now I realize it hasn't been one-sided. It actually has been two-way. I just probably did not identify it that way. So I'm always learning. Um, and I would love to, if you want to add on to that, I would love to also invite us to popcorn and just jump in. It's really intended to be casual and spontaneous. Yeah.
All the classes that you've brought to life at Still and Moving Center have been such an inspiration. You're an inspiration to me, and I'm grateful to you for having been able to participate in all these different types of classes that probably, well, some hadn't even heard of, probably would not have participated in if I had not ever learned about Still and Moving Center. And it was purely because of the, oh gosh, what was it? A networking event called Sparked that I happened to be sitting in the lobby when I believe it may have been Natalie or Vivian Beth that introduced me to you. And I'm grateful that you were kind enough to allow me to teach cooking with you. I mean, just a lot of wonderful memories and experiences. And so I thank you for that. And I said I'm optimistic because I feel like I listen to my body more than I used to. I remember Ava making some comment to me in the past when I first started taking her classes that I wasn't aware of my body and what I was doing with my body. And that really stuck with me. And I thought, okay, I need to understand this better. And I fractured my ankle. And Jessica, I hope you didn't do the same, because I know you mentioned you might have in another class I was in with you. But about 8 weeks ago. And it really has changed, you know, I've been doing a lot of soul searching and thinking as haven't been able to do all my normal activities. And I know I haven't been participating in as many of Still and Moving Center classes as I used to, but I want to get back to that. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you, Renee.
I imagine that you're now a lot more body aware than you might have been those years ago when that comment was made, because it's really a huge emphasis at Still and Moving Center. So Still and Moving Center, by the way, for those of you who might not know, is a 6,000 square foot building. It's 3 or 4 movement studios. It offers a plethora of classes from aerial to yoga to Pilates to Feldenkrais to Eldoa, belly dance, hula. The list kind of goes on. And the idea is that all of these classes will be taught mindfully. And it's in Honolulu on Queen Street across from the new Whole Foods. And I founded it about 12 years ago when I was invited to become a Nia teacher trainer, and that didn't sound right for me once I had landed here in Hawaii to go all over the rest of the world teaching people there. I thought, no, let's just stay here and have people come from all these different movement forms and be under one roof of mindful movement. What I've done since then is to say, there's so much mindless movement in the world, and so many people getting hurt when they're supposed to be getting fit, that really we need to extend these ideas and these techniques that we can get through Nia and Feldenkrais, etc., in terms of how to listen to the body and apply them if one is teaching swimming, or if one is a ballet instructor, or just every person who coaches or trains people how to move should have access to these mindfulness techniques, not just people who do Nia, for example. So that's what the Academy is created for, is to have, we've had high school basketball coaches and hockey coaches and Pilates teachers and aerial teachers, and all kinds of folks come to learn these techniques. And that's really fundamentally where we start from, is like, how do we get our movers to move from the inside out? Yeah. So it's really changing the dynamic. So many of us, raise your hand if this is you, have taken classes for most of our lives where somebody is telling you what to do all the way through the class, telling you what to do. Right? So how do we change that dynamic? So instead, we're inviting you as the mover to tune in. Here's some suggested movements. Tune in and see how these fit in your body, and what do you need to do to adjust them. Yeah. I thought I would maybe, I'm feeling a little bit better than yesterday. I'm listening to my body. I've told my body, I'm going to take care of you today. And body, are you willing to agree with me or willing to go along with me showing you some sun salutations? I have a morning routine that generally I do 10 sun salutations shortly after waking up at dawn. And then it's really interesting to me how these sun salutations have evolved and changed over the time that I used to do the practice, and then I renewed it again, I guess, at the beginning of this year. So I'd like to show you some of the ways that it's changed. It changes day to day in the sense, even like I normally do 10, but I've got this new cold. So today and yesterday, I only did 2. And that's what my body felt good doing. And so I'm going to just show you the way that I think you're seeing most of my body right now, yeah? Okay. So this is the, I think this is the way I started it at the beginning of the year. Here. Now I know you can't see some of these details, but I'm going to go through it once. And then I'm going to show you how it evolved. Okay, so that's how it started out. And then I thought, oh, I really could do one of those chaturanga things. So I'm going to add one of those push-up things. They're called chaturangas. So then it was after I do my twists, and I go down here, then I would do a chaturanga and do the twist on the other side. So that was fine. And then I decided, oh, I'm getting really good at those chaturangas, and I think I want to do this fancy chaturanga. I don't remember what it's called, but you lift one leg up behind. I'm really going to talk to my body and see if it wants to do this. If it doesn't, I'll just kind of give you an indication of what that would look like. So after I would do my twists on both sides, then I would lift this leg, go down to my hands. It doesn't want to do it. I would go down to my hands with my leg lifted up like this, and then I would do my push-up thing. And I was able to do that for a few months until my back started getting really tweaked. And I realized I was kind of doing this banana back thing as I was scooping down into that chaturanga. So, okay, we've got to evolve that. That can't happen. I can't lift that leg anymore. Okay, cool. So then I realized, this kind of banana back thing that I was getting, I've got to start, my back wanted to have that sensation of rounding over that way. I went, oh, I know, that's a child's pose. So now I'm going to add a child's pose. So I would do my twists, and I would go down. I would do the chaturanga, but not with the leg lifted. I do the chaturanga, and into child's pose. Then I remembered, oh gosh, I'm not getting as far down in that child's pose. I'm not getting my tail all the way as far down. What do I need to do? I'm working with it because my tail was staying kind of high, and I realized, oh, if I just kind of pull my tail down toward the floor, I can get to the same place that I used to be able to get when my teacher would come up and push my hips down. And oh yeah, oh man, that really, really feels good. And then I would go into my chaturanga and come back up and so on. So I got that. That was cool. Then I started noticing, something is not working right when I'm in this lunge position. And I was starting to get a pain somewhere in my knee, I think it was. And so then I went, wait a minute. Just because you're doing yoga doesn't mean you have to have that heel dropped. In Nia, when we do what's called a bow stance, we have a high lifted back heel. So let's try that. So then I did that. On one side, that worked great. And then when I twist to the other side, it works to drop my heel. So then I drop my heel and I lift to go back and get into my chaturanga. Then I realized, oh, my elbows are hurting. These chaturangas, I don't know if they're the right thing for me after all. Let me see, what's going on? Why is my elbow hurting? And I realized I was going down like this, and that if I would keep my elbows in close to the body as I went down in the chaturanga, it didn't hurt at all. So now when I do my chaturangas, I keep my elbows in. So I guess I'll do the whole thing right now to show you how it's evolved right now. To date, this is how I do it. Now right there, I just adjusted my front toe in, by the way, to keep my balance. Okay, I lifted my heel. Elbows in close. I really pull that tail. I used to push off with my hands really hard, but I don't do that because that was kind of making my shoulders sore. Okay, here goes my heel down. Works well when I'm twisting this direction. Here's my heel lifting up. Go that direction. And that's the evolution of my sun salutation to date. But I thought it might be interesting for you to just see how many little teeny bits and pieces and parts it's possible to change to make something work better for our bodies. And that it could keep changing like forever. This is just the current form that it feels good today in my body to do, but it could change. So I don't know if that's helpful, but I wanted to demonstrate that to you.
I love that embodiment to show us, not only to welcome, invite us into something that you may do as ritual or morning practice, which answers some questions like how do you find the energy and the time to do all the things you do. And that says a lot. First of all, you begin by taking care of your body, and the first conversation it seems you may be having is with yourself. And to take us through an example and how you've tweaked it, and to empower yourself over tweaking it. Because sometimes people are like, oh, now I had to change it. Now I can't go as low. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Then that's where all that negative, I want to use the word negative there, but all that unconstructive conversation and dialogue may make our bodies sad and not want to try.
You're saying you can see me. I know. I'm soaking it up, every detail, and all of it resonates with me more and more through the years, and especially even right now, due to the fact that I had a thumb joint replacement, and I had one 6 years ago, and now, and so they're two different experiences, and this whole idea of, first of all, accepting this is it. No, the surgery was the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of healing, and me accepting it. And the conversations, I love that. And I'm going to continue for the last 2 days. You see, I thought I could. We're gonna chop vegetables, and we're going to do some of this stuff. In the last 2 days, my thumb is saying, no, thank you. And it's the whole thing, Renee. Everything you're saying, Valerie and I know each other well. The whole idea of moving mechanically versus moving with full appreciation and awareness of the body, and it's a practice consistently. Gosh, one of these days I'll come to Still and Moving, and one of these days I'll be with Valerie. And in the meantime, I'm going to practice. Continuing to thank my arm, which had to give up some ligament in order to make this joint better. And it's saying, hey, please don't forget me. I'm the donor here. And this is saying, please don't forget me. The incisions are here, but the pain is here. And all of it. But we could have conversation forever about this internal process. So,
Yeah. Can I ask you, have you tried more ambidextrous movement? Is your
please
hand,
elaborate.
is your left hand starting to do some of the things that your right hand used to do?
And I love that you asked that. And yes, and I've been saying to my right hand, we have a team. And I call it the team. And like when I pull up my underwear, instead of from the front yanking with my right hand, I use the back and I tell my hand, we have a team. So yes, and yes. And sometimes my right hand says, hey, I'm the captain. I want to take over. And left hand says, I thought I was part of the team.
Oh, Margie. Go ahead, Renee. I think you were going to say something.
I wanted to let Danielle and Mikhail each say something. I know we're kind of short on time, but it would be good to hear from each of them.
I have chills. I'm just really thankful to be here. I loved what you said about my mind first when you were talking about the manuals with appliances, etc. And my first thought was kind of like, yeah, we don't come with one. And I so loved the twist when you said ours is internal. It was very so beautifully said, and I have also been practicing so much more fully the body gratitude for all the work that it does for me. I'm so grateful for my body. I feel like I have been in a general sense my entire life, and then have also realized how many times without being mindful, the things that I've expected my body to do, and we're not that teamwork part of thing, we might not have been in sync, and so I just that really resonated very much with me, and I really loved that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Danielle?
Spiritual practice, I'm always mindful of my thoughts, that what I am thinking and feeling emotionally picture in my world around me. And I had an aha moment listening to you earlier before, because I realized that I've been treating my body as like in the third person. I've been so dedicated to working on my mind and my thoughts that it was like I was speaking to my body instead of with my body. So I really appreciate you saying that, because having now being a septuagenarian and having things in my body doing unexpected things that
Yes.
we won't need to go into. And now I will truly listen to what my body's trying to say to me, instead of being an educator and trying to interpret that and deciding what it's trying to tell me, if you know what I mean.
I had hoped to teach the upcoming class, and my body's saying, not quite ready to do that right now. And we have Val who's going to teach instead. So as she's teaching, notice every time she says, everybody sense your, and she mentions the body part, really sense it. And it's a great practice towards that very thing, tuning into the body. Thank you all so much. It was really a joy.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And just know that I'm grateful that you found value and time to be here with us today. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, everybody. Love your body.